So in 1976, for the festival in Mayapur, all the devotees came first to Calcutta. And we were sitting out in the balcony at 3 Albert Road, taking breakfast prasadam. And we noticed there's 3 musicians walking along. One had a harmonium strapped over his shoulder, another one had a madanga, and the third one had kartals. They were just walking along. But they looked up and saw all the Western devotees there, so they stopped and started chanting Hare Krishna. I thought it was pretty attractive. Some devotees liked it, but others were complaining and thinking that this is not proper. They're just singing for money. They're professionals, and they didn't like it at all. Then all of a sudden, someone comes out of Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada was there, walks downstairs, and walks over to these musicians and gives them a rupee. So they smile, they thank him, and then he leaves, and they stop and they go. So then that was a big controversy. All the devotees were saying, "Why? What happened? Why they gave money, Krishna's money, to these professional musicians?" So they asked the devotee why he did that. He said, "Well, Prabhupada gave me a rupee and told me to give it to them." "Why did he do that?" "I don't know." So they asked him to please find out. So he went in and asked Srila Prabhupada. He said, "Srila Prabhupada, the devotees are wondering why we gave Krishna's money to these professional musicians." And Srila Prabhupada said, "We've enjoyed their music, therefore we are indebted to them. We give a rupee, clear the debt." And when I told this story to one Indian Mataji devotee, she said, "Ah, yes, my mother always taught us that." And thereafter, whenever I was traveling in India, we traveled in the trains, a lot of times singers come by and everything. So I would always pull out a rupee and pay them because I didn't want to be indebted because I enjoyed the music. But if someone came by who didn't have any talent, I wouldn't give them anything. I didn't feel indebted because I didn't enjoy it. They were just bothering me.
When he got to England, I spent a week in England and it never stopped drizzling. I saw the sun when I got there and I saw the sun when I left. And it drizzled. There's always this fine drizzle. You'd hang up your clothes to dry, they'd be wetter. And Prabhupada said, he said, it says in the Vedas that a place where the sun does not shine is a condemned place.
So in this lecture, Srila Prabhupada also told, at least it was the first time we had heard it, the story of Dhruva Maharaj. And Srila Prabhupada was explaining how, because of Dhruva Maharaj's strong determination, his Dhridabrata, his vow, that he would, realize God, and that he was so determined, nothing could shake him from that faith. And therefore he did. He saw God personally. And Prabhupada said, right there, he said, and similarly, you can also see God in 6 months' time. If you simply become this sincere and determined. And Srila Prabhupada explained how it is sincerity, that is the qualification for realizing Krishna fully.
And often when Prabhupada would talk about his spiritual master, he would start to cry. And one time on Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance day, I watched Prabhupada do arti, and you really felt he was offering it to a spiritual master. You could just feel he was really offering it. There was something about just the way he stood or the way he moved his arms, but you could really see he really meant it, that he was offering this to a spiritual master.
In 1976, that same year, Bhaktivilas Tirtha Maharaj, godbrother Srila Prabhupada, from the Chaitanya Mat, passed away. Prabhupada heard the news when he was in Vrindavan. Several devotees were in his rooms at the time when he got the news. So then Prabhupada said, Bhaktivilas Tirtha, now he is gone. But he has gone back to Godhead. So Brahmananda was very surprised. He said, but Srila Prabhupada, how is that possible? He gave you so much trouble. He never helped you. He created that whole dispute that forced a lawsuit for 40 years in the Gaudiya Math and split up Bhaktisiddhanta's mission. How can you say that he went back to Godhead? I don't understand. And Prabhupada said, he went back to Godhead because my Guru Maharaj accepted his service. And from that I understood that if we please the Guru and he accepts our service, then even though we may not be qualified, then Krishna, because we've pleased the pure devotee, will give us that opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead. And because Bhakti-Vilas Tirtha, whatever good he did, that Bhaktisiddhanta accepted his service, there was also many things that were causing a great disturbance, both through the Gaudiya Math, and he didn't help Prabhupada at all when Prabhupada requested his help on many occasions. So this is a very important lesson, I thought, We really have to please the Guru and that he accepts our service.
So I was typing a list of devotee names and their karmi names. And Prabhupada told me also to type that we should refer to the devotees as Prabhu, and I put that on there. And Prabhupada said, when you get to the end, leave some space at the bottom of the page. So I came to the end, and I said to Prabhupada, I'm finished. And he said, did you leave some space at the bottom of the page? And Prabhupada said, yes. And Prabhupada said, now type this. And he dictated, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. And I offer my respectful obeisances unto Bhaktivedanta Swami, who is very dear to Krishna on this earth, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. And I had never heard this before. This was the first time. And I was amazed that he could dictate obeisances himself without being embarrassed or proud or anything, It was as if he'd said, get the pound of carrots and 2 pounds of rice,
I remember one time in San Francisco, this is a famous pastime with Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was being interviewed by a reporter, and the reporter kept asking Srila Prabhupada, when did you realize God? And Srila Prabhupada would explain in more general terms, because Srila Prabhupada always would try to defer attention from him. He always wanted to glorify Krishna and glorify his spiritual master. But this guy was very persistent. And he kept, but Swamiji, I want to know when you did. Prabhupada would explain to him how you can also, and by chanting Hare Krishna you can realize. So then he kept, no, but what year? How old were you when you first actually realized God? And Srila Prabhupada said, when I was 5 years old. And of course Srila Prabhupada talks about that in the Bhagavatam. Also, when he talks about some of his pastimes when he was just 5 years old, and he talks about Maharaj Parikshit, and a person who exhibits these kind of pastimes, that's a symptom of being God conscious as a child. So Srila Prabhupada has always been God conscious. And he came into this world God conscious. He left this world God conscious, and he's undoubtedly now giving God consciousness to others on another planet. And hopefully we all can be with him eternally and somehow serve him in his mission.